Babysitter Confession Stories. Story 1. The way I lost my virginity makes me sick. Ask me anything if you want, but don't expect a response. I'm a happily married woman with a husband I like to think I am completely open and honest with, but there is one thing I have never told him the truth about. The first person I slept with. I just noticed this subreddit a few days ago and kept wanting to post this with my real account, but I just can't bring myself to do that, so please accept my apologies for using a throwaway account. Maybe one day I'll have the courage to use my real account, but right now I just want to tell this to someone, to anyone, without risking having anyone I know in real life trace it back to me. The first person I slept with was a young boy, 11 or 12, I can't remember. I was his little sister's babysitter. I was 17 at the time, and considering doing it with my first serious boyfriend. But he broke up with me earlier that day because he got mad at me for choosing to babysit over hanging out with him. I'm pretty sure he thought I was finally ready to sleep with him, which is why he was so mad that I took the job when I was asked to babysit. The truth is that, yes, I had been considering finally doing it, and that I was scared. But also, and this is what he didn't understand, I needed the money. Unlike him, I didn't have parents who gave me an allowance or anything. I made my money through my babysitting jobs, or from this one company I worked for, leaving leaflets and mailboxes around the neighborhood. I was supposed to just watch the girl, who was about 6 years old that night, but after putting her to bed, the boy came home unexpectedly. Apparently, he had gotten into a fight with the friend he'd been supposed to be spending the night with. He was really upset about the fight and was in tears. I tried everything I could to comfort him, but he was inconsolable. Finally, I just hugged him and told him that his friend was a jerk, and that he should forget about him. That's when he kissed me, and I didn't stop him. Even when he began to fondle my breasts, I didn't stop him. I don't think I did anything to encourage him, but I know I didn't do anything to stop him either. It's funny, this kid, this little boy, he took my hand and put it between his legs like he was teaching me about how to make out or something. What's not funny is the fact that I just went along with it. I don't know if it was out of embarrassment or shame or actual desire or whatever, but I did. God dang, I went along with it. And that's how I lost my virginity. To a child I felt sorry for and in the most awkward situation imaginable. All these years later, my official first-time story is completely different. I haven't ever told anyone, not even my husband, about the real first time. The truth makes me feel like a child molester or something. My husband knows about the time I gave a BJ to a stranger to pay for bus fare once. He knows about an awful thing I did to one of my siblings that no one else knows, and I will never tell anyone else about. He knows about pretty much all of my secrets, but he does not know about this. No one does, except the boy, obviously. Story 2. He's my brother's son, and I feel really bad about it because the kid is not even 3 yet. I know it's not his fault that his parents don't believe in any form of discipline whatsoever. Not only do they not discipline him, if anyone else speaks so much as a cross word to him, they go all mama bear, God, I freaking hate that phrase, and daddy bear on them. You're not allowed to scold, not allowed to tell him no, not allowed to anything really. My mom used to babysit for them all the time, but stopped because they tore her a new one for scolding him when he was harassing the cat. I'd like to point out that the cat, though 18 years old, has no problem with any of the other 3 grandkids, so now they have to pay for daycare, which I know they're stressed about. But you know what? Bed made, lie. It's no use making vague remarks to me about how much you'd save on daycare if someone would just watch him a couple times a week, or how you'd love a date night if you could just find a babysitter. There's a reason no one wants to watch your kid who isn't being paid big bucks for it. I know how to raise their kid is none of my business, so I stay entirely out of it. I smile and nod when they bring up the kid and change the subject. But they've started to notice that I'm different with little Damien than I was with my other nieces and nephews. With the rest of them, I was always happy to babysit them, including all the poopy work of changing diapers, etc. Now that they're older, I take them to movies, museums, parks, take an interest in their interests, and generally try to be the best aunt ever. Because they're genuinely good people, these kids, and I love the poop out of them. I would lay down my life in a heartbeat for every one of them. But since Damien has been old enough to start screaming and punching, I've been avoiding babysitting him at all costs. I know, although they don't say it, that his parents feel the difference and are hurt. But the one time I tried to explain that I don't feel comfortable watching a child I don't have the authority to discipline, My brother made me out to be some sort of child-abusing monster. F that. I'm not advocating kicking the poop out of kids over trivialities. I'm talking about giving a kid a timeout because he got jealous of his younger cousin and started beating her over the head with a wooden block. If I can't do that, I can't watch your kids. None of my other siblings mind if I tell their kid off for acting up. In fact, they encourage it. Not that I really need to, because they do such a good job of parenting that I can just focus on being the fun aunt. And I would like to be the fun aunt to Damien too, but as long as my brother and sister-in-law keep being the way they're being, I can't. And that sucks. Come to think of it, maybe it's not my nephew, but my brother and his wife I'm starting to hate. How two such formally intelligent people lost all their common sense as soon as they bred, I'll never know. But I do know that their behavior, combined with their passive-aggressive guilt-tripping, is starting to tear apart our once close family. P.S. Our other siblings aren't jealous of how advanced your snowflake is. They just don't want your kid to bite their kids and draw blood anymore. Story 3. Names have been changed to protect the innocent. When I was in high school, my father's coworker was looking for a babysitter for his 2 kids, Mike and Emmy. As I needed money to help pay for college, I agreed. Mike was a great kid, always polite, respectful, and wanting to talk about games he was playing. Emmy, on the other hand, she was a combination of Angelica from the Rugrats and Prince Joffrey from Game of Thrones. Her father admitted spoiling her and warned me she drove off the other babysitters. I figured it would be a few times during the summer and then I'd be fine. Wrong. Either because I didn't run away or because the kids liked me, the parents were basically calling our house every day for me to watch the kids and that I'd have an hour to get there. My father didn't give me any room to argue. He'd take the call and say, "Yep, she'll be right over," without even consulting me. Needless to say, I didn't have a social life that summer, and Emmy kept getting worse and worse. She was demanding my attention, always insisting we play the games she wanted to play, watch the movies she wanted to watch, and would pick fights with Mike, to name a few. Resentment built and built like steam in a kettle. I hated my father for accepting those calls on my behalf, Emmy's parents for spoiling her like this, and my summer getting taken away. Above all, I hated Emmy, but I felt like I couldn't refuse because I was scared to death of what my father would do and because I did like playing with Mike. One night near the end of the summer, Mike and Emmy's parents did their usual routine and left me at the house alone with the kids. Emmy was in a particularly foul mood that day and was being a nasty brat. I was sick of trying to correct her and wanted to help Mike with something. I did the usual, "You misbehave, you'll be stuck in timeout" routine, and that seemed to make her worse. Then a thought brewed in my head. Slap her. I knew I should push that thought back down, but the thought of hurting that little brat felt so wonderful. It took over like a poisonous mushroom. Sure enough, after the timeout, Emmy was still being a little diva. I said, "If you act out one more time, I will slap you." Well, Emmy dared me to, and I slapped her so hard that she almost fell over. I was a big woman, even then, very strong, and she was a small child of perhaps 6. I've often said that it was because I snapped, but the truth was, I wanted to hurt that child. I wanted her to feel every ounce of pain I was feeling. The fact I wanted to hurt her more makes me sick to my stomach to this day. The only thing that kept me from hitting her more was seeing Mike looking at me with horror. That's when I broke down crying, rushed to the phone, and called both the parents and mine, telling them what happened. Mike and Emmy's parents got home, paid me, and told me they forgave me. That was the last time I ever babysat them alone. From then on, one parent was with me. I don't blame them, they were afraid I'd snap again. Eventually they found someone else, and we fell out of touch. For years, I've refused to babysit. Those who know the story believe it's because I'm scared of hurting them. They call me noble for not wanting to hurt a child. The real reason is because I know parents won't want someone who hurt a child to watch their children. Say what you will about me, but I won't babysit again unless it's someone I know well and trust. Please leave your stories in the comments. I'd love to make a video of them in the future. Also, don't forget to like and subscribe.